What's up, guys? Welcome back to Man Cave Collectibles. Coming at you today with another figure review. Today we've got one I'm really excited about. It's the new NECA TRICERATON Infantryman and ROADKILL RODNEY 2-pack. So this is a 2-pack we found recently on really our most recent toy hunt. If you haven't seen that, check it out. Had a really good toy hunt, very successful in picking up a couple items that I'd really been hunting for, but this being the main one. This figure has a lot of nostalgic value for me, as the original TRICERATON figure from the Playmates line from the 80s was one of my all-time favorite figures as a kid. Really just wore that figure out, and they have done a phenomenal job here in giving us an updated version and really a more cartoon accurate version than even that original figure was. So really happy to have this in hand. Jumping right on into the packaging on this, we get kind of that standard NECA cartoon promotional artwork here. Along the bottom we got a couple ROADKILL RODNEYs, and we've got our TRICERATON Infantryman. Now these are army builders, especially the Infantryman here. If you go back to the original cartoon, season 7 episode 14, it was called Night of the Dark Turtle. This is the episode, and really the only episode, that the Triceratons actually appeared in, and Zorax and Zork, the kind of the leaders, decided they wanted to take over Earth, and they come down here in the Turtles Manhattan, and they have 3 of these TRICERATON Infantrymen with them. So if you want to be screen accurate, you'd need 3 of these guys to army build. I was able to pick up 2. That's all they had, so I'll probably be trying to find a 3rd one to go ahead and army build the TRICERATON Infantryman as well. But really cool episode. It was very interesting for such a popular character. They only got the 1 episode, and really they didn't even show up in that episode until about 8 or 10 minutes into a 23-minute episode. So they had very little influence on the overall cartoon, just such a small window. But great artwork here for both of them. On the top we've got that awesome retro TMNT logoing product shot of the Infantryman there. Another product shot of both the ROADKILL RODNEY and our Infantryman, as well as some of the other figures that have either already come out, or in this case the Zorax and Zork will be coming out. A little write-up here. This write-up is really just based on the Turtles. It's pretty much the same as standard for all the 2-packs. It doesn't change based on the characters. It would be nice if they gave us a little write-up there that actually kind of focused on the characters that were in the 2-pack, but they don't. And then coming on around, just some more product shots there of ROADKILL RODNEY. Let's go ahead and crack these guys out of their box and see what we got. Okay guys, so we got our figures out of their packaging. As always, let's jump right into accessories. The first thing we'll talk about, because we're going to go ahead and put it on him, is we've got his tail. So just for the sake of spacing in the packages, much like they did with Leatherhead, which just does kind of look like a reuse probably of the Leatherhead tail, we get this. Now, unfortunately, the strapping, the little plastic straps that hold the tail in place, was going right over the top of this little spike here, and it's kind of damaged or deformed. It's not the end of the world, but it would have been nice if that wouldn't have been that way. So this is pretty simple. You basically just pop that right onto the peg, and now he has his tail. So that's very simple to do. It's almost, do we even count that as an accessory? Probably not. That's just really strategic thinking on their part. We've got a pointer finger here for Triceraton that can also be used to hold a gun. You could kind of use it in 2 different ways. Looks really nice. And then we've got a fist hand that will hold something in it as well. So you probably could maybe a smaller handle gun that he has. You might could make that work down into it, and then just one for the other hand. And then as you can see on him here, he just has 2 completely open hands as well, which he comes with out of the packaging. Now, here is one of his guns. This thing looks phenomenal. It's got some real nice paint detail, kind of orange there on the end of it. Looks really nice. The paintwork, the sculpting is fantastic. Got his optic here on this side. Just looks really good. I think they did a phenomenal job with that. Got just a regular rifle here with a scope on top. These are real nice and straight out of the packaging, nothing warped about them. Looks good. Got a little bit of detail here in some brown kind of in the handle area. And one nice thing, and then the third gun, one nice thing is you got 3 different guns, so if you were to army build these guys, they each could be holding a different type of weapon. So that kind of helps as far as the army build and making it, you know, more look better on your shelf. But this is a real nice gun as well. Got a little bit of green accent there inside the optic to kind of give it a little bit of detail. Black for the magazine there. Charging handle in black. This one looks really good. Moving over to Roadkill Rodney. So he comes with 2 additional arms, so you can see the arms that are on him there. They might be 1.5 inches to 2 inches long. They do have bendy wire in them. These do not have bendy wire in them. Once you can pull them out, but they're just going to go right back to their you know, to the original design. But they look really good. You could use these to wrap up a turtle or whatever you wanted to do. They're nice and long. I'm not sure. Let's see how long. I would say probably somewhere around, you know, he's about a 7 to 7.5 inch figure, so I would say about 9 inches or so. But again, you know, once you let go of it, it's just going to coil back up, you know, into its you know, its natural state. So you got 2 of those there that you can put on and off. You've also got, which we'll show you, you've got the drills for the tops of their head, which you can pop those off. We'll look at those a little more closely here in a few. And then you've also got some battle damage here for the top of their head. So if you wanted to put like a Raphael Sai through the top of his head, you could do that. It'd be really cool for a pose, or the way you wanted to put it on your shelf. That would be nice. So those just have little pegs. They'll just pop right in on the top. You remove those, and then they also get, so what makes them stand is you have a little peg here. Kind of looks like dust, like if they were taken off, a little bit of dust kind of rustling up behind them, and they have a peg hole in the back of their tire. Now these tires are articulated, so they spin freely. You're able to do that, but basically just line that hole up with the peg on this, and that is basically just you know, you have a figure stand for your Roadkill Rodney. So we'll take a little bit better look at that. Now also, they get this little bit of dirt. This is kind of like a, you know, almost like a diorama piece, you could almost call it. But we'll take a look at how this works here shortly when we get into our Roadkill Rodney figures. But this is really nice. I'll show you what this is here in a little bit. So let's set our Roadkill Rodneys back, and let's go ahead and take a look kind of at our main guy here. So this is our TRICERATON Infantryman, just looking phenomenal. Bringing him in close here. Let's take a look at this face. I mean, just phenomenal work there by NECA from a sculpting standpoint as well as a paint standpoint. Got a little bit of something there on you can see it right here on his head, but just looks really, really good. The paint work is just phenomenal. I love this orange. It is perfect, a perfect rendition from the cartoon. I'll try to throw up a side-by-side here of one of these infantrymen from the cartoon so you can just see how well they nailed it, all the way down to the little triangle here on his armor. Looks really good, those purple eyebrows. Moving on down, you can see they kind of hit it with a little bit of different color orange here on the back of the arms, on the back of the legs and tail. You can kind of see that. That just gives it more of that cartoon look. You got these nice black kind of accent lines to show muscles, and just really gives it very much that cartoon look. Very happy with it. Overall, the paint detail and the QC side of it is done very well. Got a little bit of battle damage here you can see in his skin. I think that's a real nice little touch for him there. Moving on down, get down to the feet. Real nice painted toenails. The paint is real crisp and clean. Probably one of the better NECA you know, paint jobs that I've seen so far here with TRICERATON Infantryman. Now looking at his Articulation, we can't really move that head down at all. We can move it up some. You can see there. We can get the confused look pretty good, and that'll rotate all the way around for you. These horns and spikes, they are a little bit of a hard plastic. They will slightly move, but I don't think to the point where they're going to break off. They're definitely pliable enough to be able to do that. As far as getting those arms up, we get them up to about right there. You always want to be careful with NECA stuff, not to stress it. The full 360 here, swiveling the bicep. We did get double jointed elbows. There we go. Pretty good range of motion there in those double jointed elbows. And then down here, just kind of your standard articulation in the wrist. And this guy is really nice out of package from an articulation standpoint. Nothing feels stuck or like it's going to break off. We do have some crunch, but it's hindered by this soft plastic. You can see that's a real soft plastic. There is a crunch up under there. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but that's where the articulation is. Not directly at the waist, but more in kind of the high abdominal area. So that's where he's spinning. But it's good enough. Not much back, but we can get forward some. The main thing is you're going to get that swivel. That's probably the best part of that. We can get out to about right there. And as with most of these figures, you got a little bit of a swivel there at the top of the thigh. No cut in the thigh. And then you've got double jointed elbow or double jointed knees right there. Just the bulkiness of him is not going to allow a ton of range of motion, but you still got those double joints. And then lots of movement here in the feet, forward, backward. You can get all the articulation you want out of those ankles. Some of the best out of the box ankle articulation that I've felt on these NECA figures yet. This back here is slightly articulated, but as we found with Leatherhead, if you try to articulate that too much, it's just going to pop right off of that peg. So really not a lot you're going to be able to do with that tail. So let's go ahead and set this guy aside, and we will take a look at one of our Roadkill Rodney figures. So we'll bring this guy in. They do look identical, so we'll just take a look at one of them. Real simple paint work. It's pretty much just the black accent lines as well as the gray and slightly dark gray in some areas, but they look really, really good. I mean, they look identical to what we saw in the cartoon. I'll pop this off, but you can see here how that wheel will turn and rotate for you. A little bit of red here, which would kind of be maybe considered his eye. So we'll look at just the articulation side of it. So these arms, you can pop these arms out right here. Now these are bendy wire, so you're able to bend these and pose the short ones. But the long ones, they just pop right in the same way. But as we discussed earlier, there is no, bendy wire in them. So you'll be able to basically just articulate them, pretty much just around in circles. And if you wanted to pull this out, wrap it around a turtle, you could do that as well. So just for the sake of the length of those, getting them out of the way, we'll do that. We also talked about, doing a swap out. So you can swap the top of the head out, and basically you just peg in the drill. Very, very simple. I love how NECA's done this. They didn't make something that should be easy too hard. They kept it simple, and I really like it. And then also you've got the battle damage version if you wanted to use that on them. So I think that would be really cool looking to have, a Raphael Sai or something, going into the top of that. Now, another really cool design here is you have his gun can pop out, and we first saw this. This is actually the gun that Roadkill Rodneys used at the zoo to free the rhinoceros and warthog as they were trying to, create Bebop and Rocksteady. So that was the first time we saw these guns. They did pop those right out and kind of disintegrate the cage. They're articulated here at the end as well as right here on this hinge. So to put them back in, you basically just articulate everything down and close it up. Very simple. Very, very cool. Now, the entire neck and head area will come off of our Roadkill Rodney. And that is where this little diorama piece of dirt comes into play. So you basically will peg, you can peg the head there on that piece of dirt, and you will pop off the top of the head, put the drill on, and now you've got a Roadkill Rodney that looks like he is coming up out of the dirt. So, you know, NECA really took into account the fact that this is an army building 2-pack. So you're going to be able to have Roadkill Rodneys, 3, 4 of them, all that look different. You can have the gun out on one, you can have battle damage on one, you can have one coming up out of the ground. So many options here. NECA really did a good job of taking all that into account for us. And I'm in love with this 2-pack. To me, it was definitely one of the better 2-packs. As far as the hand swap outs here for our Triceraton, so this is a right hand, the trigger hand here. These are typically pretty easy from NECA to pop those out. You just kind of spin them a little bit and pop them right out. And you pop that out. And we'll just take one of our guns here. And okay, so this, I'm sorry, this is the smaller gun. This would go in one of the other holding hands that doesn't have quite the... Now, one thing that I just noticed, these hands are a softer plastic than normal, and I love that. It just made it so simple for this big old handle gun to go right down into his hands. So that was a major problem that I had with the General Trag, is that their hands were so stiff and so hard, couldn't hardly get the gun in their hand without scraping the paint off. But NECA has done a little something different here. And that's a really, really nice touch. So you can see that just fits right in his hand. Even with the softer hands, it's not going anywhere. It's in place. Really nice. Good job, NECA. That was phenomenal. I'm glad I didn't miss that. As far as these hands, they're the same way. Look at that. A little bit of bend and flex in them. So you're going to be able to get those you know, smaller handle guns into the smaller hole there with ease. Attention to detail. Thank you, NECA. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons with these guys, and we'll wrap up our video. All right, guys, so here's our size comparison. We've got our Rocksteady figure here, Triceraton Raphael with his sight in the head of Roadkill Rodney. You can see how that works. And then our Leatherhead figure. So the Leatherhead figure and the Triceraton figure appear to share a lot of the same, I guess, body parts. The arms, the legs kind of appear to be the same. Obviously, the feet are different. But he is a big guy. You know, when you look at him at the top, to the top of his head, you know, he's the largest figure probably that we've gotten so far. But just looks phenomenal here with these guys. And I love this little setup here with the Raphael and Roadkill Rodney. So I think that's going to really add something to our TMNT displays, our NECA displays. So very, very happy to have that. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. It really helps these videos get out there and get shared with the YouTube analytics and how it is. So I would greatly appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing. We'd love to have you as part of the Man Cave Collectibles team. We do a lot of videos on different things, different lines, toy hunts. We kind of hit it all in the toy collecting world. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Stay safe out there. Until next time.